There's the countdown. Hello. Are we live? I think we're live. Ooh,
Yeah, looks like it.
we're 4 people. Apologies for the delay. We had some technical issues. Adam just told me this afternoon that he says, "Hey, let's try this streaming thing." Proposed it to him a few week or two ago.
I told you I'll decide after Masters, and then on the drive home today, I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna try this thing. Don't know how long it's gonna go on for, as long as I am able to. But we're gonna stream and just talk shit about Kings of War, right? I think both of us are a little bit bored of doing battle reports. So like, hey, let's try this new thing. It's not been done before, like a weekly or like or what do you call it? A stream that's always happening on a weekly or scheduled basis. I mean,
Yeah.
Countercharge has done live streams impromptu before, but not the stream that does it on a regular. So yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
have more timely chat about Kings of War. And we used to chat a lot on Discord, but the After Dark regulars have gone pretty quiet recently. So yeah, so with the two of us not doing battle reports, though, I think there will be a shortage of battle report videos in the scene. I think
Could
Steve
be.
Hildrew is the only one that's still doing battle reports.
Yeah. And Steve was at our US Masters, so first time I got to meet Steve in person. Was a pleasure.
How's it?
Yeah, Steve's awesome. Just a great guy.
He's a big ball of energy.
Absolutely. But when he's staying up late with us every night and drinking a ton, he gets out that energy, and then he becomes a little bit more chill by the end of it. So uh, but yeah, no, Steve and I were talking a little bit about the kind of the feeling of the battle reports and things like that. And it seems like between me, you, him, we all kind of have a little bit of a little bit of a quiet run here where we're just maybe not feeling it. I know I can only really speak for myself, but I'm not as excited as I once was to show off the a battle report and to do it because I mean we're all just doing it because we love the game and we want to make some content for people. I mean, none of us are making money off this by any means, so yeah, I know I'm personally I've been meaning to actually get to a video, and I will likely do a post Masters recap, but I'm probably going to put a pause on battle reports for the foreseeable future with my channel. So
yeah, speaking of which, I know you and I been talking privately about the State of Kings and how excited we are about it. I think we are at various levels of not as excited as before, which also explains the drought of content on my channel as well. And maybe we can talk a bit about 4th edition launch. And leading up to the launch, Mantic has been drip feeding teasers and content, and I think I don't know if it's something that is common for any game's change of an edition, especially the large change, because from 2nd to 3rd edition of Kings of War, I think everyone's still pretty excited, and we know that it is about the same game. There's just some streamlining. And then other than the big controversial issue of being locked in combat, and then there was a bunch of weird scenarios that arise out of that, and it took DRC at the time lots of fixes to kind of get it stable. But otherwise, Kings of War 3rd edition was pretty much the same game as Kings of War 2nd edition, and I think the excitement carried through. But from third to fourth, I don't know if it's universal, but there seems to be a drop in players and interest, while there's not a lot of new players coming in. I myself kind of did a post-mortem of it, thinking back about the launch of fourth edition. It's like, why didn't we get new players? Then I was thinking back about how the existing players were feeling, because we're all at the edge of our seats thinking, oh my god, is Kings of War 4th edition going to be screwed? So none of us were in that mood of recruiting new players, rallying, making an effort to make the launch of 4th edition a big thing, but we're all just at the edge of our seats thinking, is the game going to be okay, or is it going to be total crap, or whatnot, right? So that felt like, I felt that's what it was, and that's why the existing community wasn't in that mode of trying to actively recruit new players to coincide with the launch of 4th edition. What do you think?
Yeah, I think one of the big ways to recruit new players is to have the existing player base that's bought in on your product already. So having those people that really champion and go out and fight for your game and want people to join in on the awesome experiences that they have. And I think we saw that quite a bit within third edition, and then newer players, I think, got brought in with that energy, and then maybe had their own thoughts on the game that they brought to the table, right? And which is never a bad thing. I think it's always something we should be discussing on how can the game in general be improved. So I think some of those thoughts were led to some of the changes that happened in fourth, and some of the changes are good. So I don't think it what was happening in third was necessarily bad, or anything that we shouldn't have continued on. I think that, the fourth edition, I think Mantic decided we're just going to try something different, try something new. And they, I think the main piece of that's new that, we're starting to see kind of how it's working is the adjustment of the release schedule. So third edition, we had a once a year Clash of Kings update. Everybody got some love. Everybody got aligned. And it, was all released at one time. And now we're on a twice a year schedule with books. And it's not necessarily everybody getting aligned. It seems like, with the new Fractured book, everybody's getting a little bit of something. But it's pretty clear that, the 4 armies they focused on got 90% of the attention, and then the other 16 armies got, about 10% of, any changes in attention. So, which I think is a great thing for the armies that get updated. I don't want to, dissuade Mantic from updating the armies. I think the 4 that got changed, most of those changes were good and for the better. And I think there's a clear couple major winners out of this book. So we'll see if that hunch kind of comes through. But it was a little sad to see that some of the major changes for the other armies were the big nerfs, the Orcs Green Rage, the Ratkins, Plague Pot change, as well as Wretches. So, and then a couple of them were surprising to me, like the Gigas and Trident Realms are changing their keyword, so they can't get the what's it called, the Barkskin command, and they don't benefit from
Axolotl aura.
Yeah, the aura. So that was a really interesting change, something that I hadn't seen anybody complain about anywhere at any time. So I just was kind of taken aback by that. And then the halflings, their brutal getting changed where they can't stack the brutal aura with the brutal that they currently have was quite surprising as well. So I don't think anybody that I've seen and I've talked to think that halflings are a broken faction or even close to it by any means. I do think there's a build or two in that army that are good, and if manned by a top tier player, it's definitely going to win games for sure. But these changes are surprising, I would say, and both of those changes I would consider to be nerfs. So I'm not a fan of seeing those nerfs. I guess I would rather see more playable options, more unique things happening. So that's just my personal opinion. So
yeah, since we're on this topic on fourth and how it's shaping up to be, I guess we can talk a little bit more, and we'll talk about Adam's master's experience later on. Let's not break the momentum here. And we have a couple of people on the chat, so I'd like to shout out to the people. And I might not know some of them, but I think Adam, you do. Sean Vilmont.
Yep, he's one of my own
Ryan
guys.
Ring. And my local guy God himself. Yeah, so keep the chat coming in, because the purpose of a live show is to have a live engagement as well. So you can join in the conversation. And yeah, Giga's change. I'm trying to find it in the book, because I don't play Trident. I don't really pay that much attention. Yeah. I guess from the little games I played.
Sorry, I saw that in the Giga change question mark. So just to clarify, the Giga change was simply they changed their keyword or trait, whatever they're calling it, from Sea Beast to Ocean Spawn now. So they no longer get affected by the Barkskin command or by Axel Tricklebrooks Elite Aura. But now they can benefit from the aura, the Wild Charge aura, I believe that the Depthor Eternal provides. And I think there's one character that provides Rally for that keyword as well. Which, that one I could definitely see some play. Nerve 18 gigas definitely sound like a good thing. But I think, again, my major complaint is I just don't know why that change is being made. It's not as apparent to me as, say, the Green Rage and the Plague Pot changes, right? Which were obviously very crucial to those armies' successes and quite good on the scale of commands. I just didn't see Gigas with Barkskin as up there as egregiously as a, fives and sixes blasting with Thonar's Green Rage. So.
Okay. Hold your horses, Adam, because I'm flipping through the book. I don't see any changes to Trident. I just checked Companion. It does not seem to mention. It's still Sea Monster.
Really? Well, maybe I was misinformed on that one. I apologize.
It could be. So chat, just help us double check.
Yeah,
if it's showing up as Sea Monster on my Companion, and I don't see an entry for Trident Realm in the rules update portion of the book.
Okay. That could be my mistake. I could have seen something that was outdated or had a discussion with somebody that was not
Gigas are
pretty into the book.
Gigas are pretty commonly taken now because of that Elite plus Vicious with Axel Tricklebrooke. Like, they tend to convert all their attacks, and they are like Crush 3 if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
So really juicy, and they come with high defense, and they are a great target for Buckskin for sure.
Absolutely.
I hope they have other options. Like Axel Tricklebrooke seems too good to leave out, and I'm never a fan of auto includes. So yeah, I was chatting with Adam before we came on stage, which was how we're feeling about Fracture. I think our initial thoughts when 4th edition released alongside with Invasion was factions were pretty out of balance. That's number one. And I had a big concern with command orders being fully expanded in the expanded factions, and then the other faction only have access to 2. So my hot take back then when 4th edition released is like this disparity in command orders access is pretty egregious, and it needs to be fixed. And they somewhat did a minor fix by introducing tenacity and whatever that command that allows you to, I think it's called full retreat, back up your full distance. Gives each faction a little bit something more to do, especially when you have no good command orders to do. And yeah, just a blade of slashing effect. Since it says it couldn't work for blasting attacks, I was thinking, why don't you do a mace of crushing effect instead? Then you won't need to have that qualifier that it doesn't work on blast attacks. Yeah, Adam, you want to say something?
Oh, well, then they'd have to clarify if it does or doesn't work with Green Rage, then, the new version of that. So, I think
just give it to them. Just give it to the Hawks.
Right, honestly. But I don't know, man. I think the universal commands are just kind of a band-aid on a much bigger problem. So I'm not a fan of the 2 that are in there, although the movement one is situationally going to be quite useful. I think the Blade of Slashing one, we saw this, at the end of 3rd when they introduced commands, and it felt like that was a command that just always happened because it was one of the only efficient ones, but it's still just it's such a minor effect. And all these other commands that these other armies are getting are just game-changing effects in a lot of ways. There's a couple of new commands from the Forces of the Abyss as well as the Nature list that I look at, and I'm just like, whoa, what are we doing here? We nerf, some good commands, albeit, and then we bring out Stampede, and then we bring out the Betrayal and the Blood of the Old Kings command. It's like, oh my goodness, we are just power creeping some of these commands to the moon from what I've seen. So,
well, I think there was some consolation that the Stampede, if it connects, it will be a hindered charge. So less likely to kill stuff, but of course, just because of the existence of Stampede, you have to position your units differently when you're fighting against nature, with that possibility of stampeding into a second combat. So you have to keep that spacing, with the width of your unit base that got killed in the first round, plus some spacing in the second row. They would at least need a 3 or 4 to connect. So
I disagree. I think a lot of people don't see the full potential of it. So
yeah,
okay. So let's lay the battle line here. So your battle line as you approach a Force of Nature army that has Guardian Brutes, Grim Brocs, and of course they have air elementals, because why wouldn't they? So you have to protect from getting surged into your flank. So you have to keep your units in a very even, tight battle line, not allowing people to fit in the flanks, not allowing, a little bit of an overhang of any of your bases. Otherwise, they're going to take advantage with the surge
right.
mechanic.
You just connect to the unit beside it. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. So if you walk up with an even battle line like this, and I charge the unit that's right next to the other unit here, I can either double charge that unit and overhang and give Stampede to the unit that overhangs, and I don't even need to roll the overrun. I know 1 inch is going to connect with them because they're dead even, right? I get a second combat for free because of a command, which is better than any other command that I've seen so far. Yes, right. It is a hindered charge, but I would also like to say they didn't clarify the same way as like Scorched Earth, where it says you're always hindered and cannot benefit from Pathfinder or Strider.
Right.
So it's one of those, then you start having questions of, well, if I have Strider, I'm not hindered, right? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I think that needs to be FAQ'd and clarified. And then, so your battle line becomes as such that you can't keep your units tight, close together, because they can easily double charge a unit, overhang, get combat into a second unit. Well, then you either have to spread your units out, but you can't spread them out too far because 20 inches of air elemental charge threat potentially hits a flank in between your units. So then it becomes, okay, how do I approach a Forces of Nature army without giving them the ability to either flank me, surge me, or double charge me with the Stampede? So this is something that a very good player that is going to use Force of Nature is going to really ask a lot of questions of their opponent and make it very difficult for anybody to approach an army like that with those abilities. And this is just one of their commands. Obviously, they still have Strider. Yeah, it went to 5 up, but it's still a great command. They also have one of my favorite commands that I don't think is too good or too overpowered, I would say, where when you kill one of their units that had the command, you can only issue a halt order. So this is going to be great, like late game, if you're trying to protect, a unit from getting on a token. You can just block off the units, make it to where they can't overrun and potentially get onto a token later in the game. They have to just simply reform. So I like that command as utility quite a bit. So Force of Nature, I think, has the arsenal of commands that is just what every other faction wishes they had at this point. So and yes, right. The Rampage one for Elementals as well. It's just like, yeah, sure, why not? That's great too.
And it's +2, whereas which other faction is it? Ogres or Slayer?
Yeah, I think Zrikali and I think Basilia got the plus Slayer. Which
ND3. Oh.
ND3. So for every success, you get a D3's worth of Slayer. So that's actually can be quite good. So that is a very interesting one. We'll see how effective it is. At this point, I think Slayer is a lesser version to Rampage. So it makes sense that Slayer would be much more impactful as far as the amount of dice you potentially get. So,
yeah, let's go on to the chat, shall we? There's a lot of chatter on the
I
chat.
see quite a few names I've known here. There's former master Luke himself in the chat here.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty unhappy with the staggered army releases. Yep. Fracture commands seem fun, thematic. And yeah, everybody else is dull. I agree. Again, it's not like I don't want to see these commands coming out. I'm just with you, Luke, where it's like if you're one of the 4 armies that just got released, I think you're pretty happy. You're excited about the game. Everybody else that's one of the 16 armies, and maybe there's a handful of those that aren't as bad off as the rest of them, but half the armies in the game right now are looking at their commands and they're like, this just isn't fair. Like, we're not playing the same game at this point. So
yeah, it was interesting during Invasion where in fact the factions with the best commands happen to be the non-expanded factions with Green Rage, Plague Pots, the pair of nature commands. And so in fact it was actually the non-expanded factions that had the best commands, I feel. But when Fracture just came out. A lot of the non-expanded factions commands got nerfed, and nature got reworked. So we're at this weird point, and I feel at the end of the day, I think Fracture is a step in the right direction. Just how big a step is the question. But before we break it down, let's talk about the chat. So Sean Vilmont saying Adam is breaking it down like a pro. Yep, I've never thought about that overhang onto the second frontline unit to the sides. That makes it much more powerful as Stampede. At least it is limited to herd units. I think some people are upset that the Grimbrocks, are they the one with the thunderous tree? Not as good as Longhorns were.
And Brutal 2 built in. That is quite spicy.
Oh, Brutal 2.
Yeah. I have a feeling we're gonna see a couple of Grimbrock lists, or a couple
just to add that Brutal 2.
Yeah, so I think I think we're gonna see one, if not two, Grimbrocks in your standard nature list. Where one of them, I actually think that the Jesse's boots actually make their way into Force of Nature now. So I would expect to see, if you're doing kind of a second line hammer type of units, behind the wall of critters or earth elementals or whatever you use in front, I expect to see maybe one or two Grimbrocks, one of them with the brutal items so that you get a brutal 3 in there, and another one with Sir Jesse's boots, because Thunderous 3 and get a guaranteed Strider when you need it is pretty good. So
yeah, especially if you're gonna do Stampede, but Stampede your attacks will be hindered, but at least you're contributing your brutal into the next combat.
It's true. I think Guardian Brutes are the clear winner of who gets stampeded, just because 20 attacks hitting on 3s with Crush 2. What's not to love about that? So whether you're hindered or not,
Defense 4 is what people are complaining about.
I don't give a shit about Defense 4. Your guys are gonna wreck some faces. It's an upgrade. Also, can we talk about this totem? This great totem of bullshit. This thing is going to be in every list. It's so good. It's so good. Why is this the way it is? Like, I don't care that it's a war machine and you triple your attacks against it. It's defense 6. You have to put something exceptionally powerful into it to remove it. And it's just giving you a 9-inch bubble of inspiring, vicious, as well as it can just give out commands, which, as we just got done saying, Force of Nature arguably has the best array of commands in the game at the moment. So why not get another commander that also just does everything else? So quite silly that we're bringing back the advanced deployment rules from 2nd edition as well. So I don't know. I'm kind of half expecting the monolith to get updated to something like this for EOD in the.
It is updated to be able to give commands.
No, I'm saying
there's
deployment part of it. Sorry.
Right. Well, I like that it moves. Monolith still moves.
Yes. Yeah.
Not being able to move is a big disadvantage. Whether the disadvantage is enough to negate all the good stuff of the totem, which we'll see, right? It's been a while since we have a unit that doesn't move in the game. So in theory it looks great, but we'll see how much that not being able to move will hinder it. Well, regarding Luke, say pretty unhappy with the staggered army releases. Yeah, I don't think anyone is that happy with the staggered releases, and I think Mantic's strategy was that they want to create hype for each faction as they release, which from a marketing and a sales standpoint at least there is some sense there. I'm not saying I agree with it, but there is some idea of what they're trying to do with that, and they are putting money that they've earned from Halo to promote Kings of War to push. I mean, they have the right intentions, just that the execution hasn't been great so far. Especially with the nature models, I think they're pretty bad.
Yep. I was about to mention that one.
We started with Zerkali, which is fine, mostly fine, and the Trident Realms new models are great, but oh my goodness, this nature.
I think they started off 4th edition with the models quite well, honestly.
The Placoderms look great, the Death Forest look great.
Yeah. You know, and the I think the models that they released for Zerkali, most of them are good. I think Zerkali as an army just feels a little light. Feels like there's not as many units as most of the other armies. But I did hear a rumor that the idea is that as the edition goes on, the Zerkali invasion will expand, and potentially more of their units will hit the mainland, in the lore and thematically. So Zerkali, it sounds like, is likely to have more units hit the tables as the edition goes on.
Do they have a small roster comparatively to other factions?
I think they do. They just feel like there's not many playable options in there. Personally, I think Zerkali is one of the armies that's actually really struggling at the moment for Kings. So, and yeah, I see in the chats here the dwarf command. People don't have complaints. Oh man, I wish that they would just update the rule, the retaliate rule, to be what that command is, because that would be a good rule then. Obviously, I think you have to adjust points for units that have it, but it makes sense. Why are we requiring so many restrictions on a special rule that has a negative downside effect already? So.
Yeah, Duelist is kind of shit right now. Yeah, back to the releases. I did expect much less from Fracture. I think there was a time that they said, the middle of the yearbook is going to be small changes, while the end of the yearbook will be a bigger Clash style change. So I was expecting like 0 changes to other factions other than the 4. So I was pleasantly surprised that there was some effort to tweak all the armies. So so that gave me a little bit of confidence with the new RC. I think they're called Core Playtesting Group now, CPG. So, yep, kudos to the new CPG, who is trying their very best, from what I can feel reading Fracture, to make the game better. Be it for the 4 factions or the rest, right? Some hits, some misses, but I can see the intent. And yeah, because of Mantic's strategy to sort of breathe life into the new factions, and I think one thing we wouldn't complain, at least, is that we're going to consistently get new models and major updates to at least one faction every 6 months. So I think the next one is Elves. So time for those ugly elf models to be updated. So I'm not complaining there. Yep. So I don't like the staggered releases. I do understand some of Mantic's intention behind them. At least they are good intentions of bringing new models to these factions and needing to create hype for it. So, I mean, when the 6 books are out, at least every faction will be on a playing ground, on a sort of theoretical even playing ground. But that being said, that by the 6th book, that's another 2 years from now. It is some time away. I do feel that with Fracture, Invasion, none of the 4 factions are factions that I played. So I was playing goblins, which are pretty strong too. But I've been playing goblins for 3 years. So when the 4 factions of fractures were announced, I was pretty excited. And before I even saw the changes, I said I'm going to commit to Abyssals because that's the faction that I have. I do have Basilean, but I got a local player, Ryan, who has a beautiful Basilean army, so I'm not going to compete with that. And so I was like, okay, I'm going all in on Abyss, no matter how good or bad they're going to be. So I'm pretty excited to at least try out an expanded faction rather, to just to feel what it's like to have more options of command orders, especially because when I was in Goblins, it was just more pups here, more pups here, more pups here. That's all.
Yep.
That's all I'm doing. So,
turns out, great command. Let's be clear, but
it is a good command, but it's the only command that I'm using. I'm like, okay, more pups. All right, fail. Okay, this one, more pups.
Yep.
All right, that's all I'm doing. More pups, more pups, more pups.
That's what a few of the armies are going to be doing with the new Blade of Slashing command, where they're just like, well, I don't have anything better to do. I guess Blade of Slashing here, there, everywhere, whatever.
So,
but Abyss, I think that's gonna be a great army. I've done a tier list before at the beginning of 4th, and Abyss was in a very low tier. Arguably, probably should have been in a dog shit tier. I actually think Abyss.
It was in the dog shit tier. You went on.
I don't even remember.
Check and put it in the dog shit tier.
It wasn't below EOD, but it was really close to it. All right.
The two of them were dog shit tier.
But I actually, after seeing the glow up that they got, I'm actually gonna go out on a limb and put Abyss in is a top 3 army now. I think they got that good with the improvements. So buy your Abyssal stocks now. Get in on it while it's early. I think they're gonna be great.
Yeah. So I think with Fracture, 8 out of the 20 factions are updated. So it is close to half. So I do feel it was much better than launch. And by the end of the year, it'll be 12. So the expanded factions will outnumber the non-expanded factions. So the haves will be more than the have-nots. So
I think there may be a misunderstanding with the book release. Although there's been 4 armies in the first 2 books, I don't think the expectation at the end of the year should be that there's 4 armies. From rumors that I heard, it's going to be either 3 armies at the most, or more likely 2 armies in that book.
Okay.
So
then we're at least even.
Yeah, we'll see where it ends up, but don't expect 4. That's for sure. But I see Brian's asked thoughts on Abyssal Guard. I like the looks of them. They're just a little bit too expensive for me, but if you can get a Palace Guard horde with regen, basically, and you can improve that regen, there's a lot of potential there. I just think that it's such a crucial target for your opponent to deal with in the right way. So it's going to be, I think, it's an infantry horde, so I think it's going to be tough to get the full value out of it. But if you run into a matchup where you're able to mitigate your opponent double charging, and you're able to mitigate your opponent getting their true hammers into that unit can just win a portion of the battlefield for you by itself. So I do think Abyssal Guard hordes are going to be seen. And it'll be interesting to see exactly where they end up as far as, preferred magic item, preferred support units and pieces with it, because I think they definitely need a little bit more to go with them and to be successful. So I'll be interested to see where everybody kind of lands on everything that revolves around one of those hordes.
Yeah, my first thought of it is that it's overcosted. That's for sure. 280 points. And what's a comparable unit? Palace Guard Horde?
Palace Guard Horde, yeah. So
and
instead of a lead, I think I think they're 265, I want to say. 270.
Yeah,
So it's not that much more for Regen 5 up instead of Elite. I think their
and speed
biggest
5.
benefit is, speed 5 instead of 6. That's true. So
That's I'm pulling up Palace Guard Horde right now. Palace Guard. Where are you? Elves. Palace Guard 265.
265. Yep.
Oh.
And I played one.
I don't
this
know.
last
25
weekend.
nerf on the Palace Guard. I think the Abyssals are 24. Let me double check.
That could be the case.
24. One less nerf, one less speed, no regen. They have Fearless and Regen 5. So I sense
Palace
that
Guard is
the
special.
I sense that the regen is overcosted, overpointed. I think there should be somewhere between 260 to 270. And I felt that some of that point cost was attributed to the fact that they can improve their regen via the command. But since when has a unit been pointed based on the potential with a command? Would be my question.
Yeah,
I don't think it
don't
ever
disagree.
was.
I think that I mean we look at I forget if it was, I think it was previous edition, but looking at abyssal, like lower abyssal hordes versus like a goblin rabble unit, right? It was effectively the same stat block, but it had regen. And it was, a pretty substantial amount of points once you got up into the horde values. So I don't know if it's exactly the right point. It may be a little high, but I think if you drop 20 points off this horde, you're going to see armies of them. Like just, oops, 4 hordes of these guys, and you can only
270
reliably
then.
kill 1 or 2 if you have the right amount of hammers, but you don't have enough units to double charge off 4 hordes of them, right? So I think they're
So the
probably
correct
close
answer
the
is
same.
to have a bracket 2 on the hordes. Then that would have solved.
Eh,
Because you
yeah.
always have this problem. If it's too good, people are just going to spam a whole army of them. Well, we got bracket numbers right now. So you could always limit the spam option, because it's always at this stage, right? Yeah, one horde of Abyssal Guard is killable, and then but when they multiply to 4 or 6, suddenly you can't kill all of them, and they start regenerating back. Then you could always limit it that way, right? So that's my thought anyway. Yeah. I do think that regen is, I don't know, overhyped. Regen only works when you don't die. That's the first thing.
True.
And
But
the second thing is you have to regenerate enough that you can survive the second hit. Because if not, if you regen 3 or 4 and you still die to the next punch, then the amount you regenerated is all for naught, right? So, and improving regen to 5+ to 4+ isn't that great. I had a game, granted my regen rolls were abysmal, but on average, you are recovering 1 extra wound for every 6 you have. So it's not that great.
It's true, but I actually had somebody explain it to me really well, where we didn't mention it, but the Force of Nature heal command got changed. I am a little sad about that. I'd rather have heal versus Sparkskin for a
definitely. Definitely, it was trying to rein in the 3 heals that Force of Nature was getting.
Right. But if you compare the +1 to your regen to that heal, a unit, so for 2 dice command, I believe it was a unit with more than 2 wounds on them will heal an equal amount as a single success from a heal command. Mm-hmm. So every wound beyond 2 wounds that you improve the regen is just mathematically a better heal command than if you were to just simply cast heal on them. So I think that while it's not, I mean, regen's never meant to be a get out of jail free card. It's always kind of dicey. But I think that this is the first time that we've seen a horde with this high of nerve, with this high of defense value, and with the ability to get a potential 4-up regen, this does have the ability to just be a hammer or an anvil that also is a pseudo hammer with the amount of attacks that it has. And then it can just live through multiple waves of onslaught. Because I think, one thing that I learned from playing Empire Dust is that one source of wound recovery isn't enough. You need to, if you want to play a grind, you need to commit to multiples. So I think you're going to then see, I believe the Warlocks have access to Drain Life. You have, I believe, the Cronius who can affect this unit. You have access to magic items that can give you Life Leech or Iron Resolve or even a Healing Brew for a very cheap option. I believe that this Horde can potentially have the ability to just tank for multiple turns where no other unit in the game can at this point.
Yeah, that potential is there for sure. Well of Souls,
Luke mentioned Well of Souls is also a great option. That it's a very expensive option, but it's a great option. So
I am sad about Well of Souls. It lost Strider for no reason when it is already shitty at 10 attacks, 4+.
Damn Strider. But anyway, let's touch base on what I think is going to be we haven't even talked about the 2 best commands that Abyss got. So the effectively the Blood of the Old King, but you take damage is elite and vicious. I mean, taking damage yourself is a poor, it sucks. But in the right situations, giving a Moloch unit or a Abyssal Cav unit elite and vicious, it just changes a 2 turns of combat into 1 turn of combat. So you were going to take damage on the return hit anyway, so you might as well use the command to one-shot something. It is the way I look at it. I know it can only be cast on the charge. That's like the only real downside of it.
I had 1 game of the Fractured Abyssal so far, and I think my experience is skewed. I took a sort of a mixed bag list against my opponent with lots of zombies, wipes, and Soul Reavers. So I did not cast Blessing of the Dark Gods as well at all, because if I were to do it on my Morlocks, I'm gonna take the Morlocks are defense 4, and the only thing they have going for it is that nerf point of 19. But the risk of taking some damage from Blessing of the Dark Gods would bring them to easily 1-shot range, just 2, 3, 4 damage, and suddenly I'm a nerf 15 defense 4 unit, and that would die to the counter blow. And of course, in that game, he had more hammers than me, so I didn't cast Blessing of the Dark Gods at all. And I found that, hey, the spell Dark Pit is what I need to give the extra pip of damage with Cloak of Death and Shattering, or is it Dread, so that my Morlocks could kill. Definitely, I need more games to see the full potential of Abyss, and I've not tried Abyssal Guard. They are one of the only defense 5 units in the army, which makes them pretty attractive. And if you want to build into them, that 280 points multiplied does add up quite a bit, though.
It does.
Yeah, I thought Ultimate Betrayal would be great. That reverse the doppelganger effect. That if they attack you, they will take your attack melee value and crushing strength instead. And of course, the best target would be the lower abyssals with a melee of 5+ and no crushing. I took 2 hordes of lower abyssals to sort of try this out, and once again, it might be skewed based on my matchup because it was undead with always zombies available. So it was like, sure, zombies get the ultimate because you can only affect one unit. So all the opponent, what the opponent can do to mitigate that is to charge 2 units and say the lousier unit gets the betrayal stats, and then my other unit gets the gets to retain its stats. So you can always charge whites plus zombies, and then the zombies essentially has no change. There was a late game situation where I had a lower Abyssal Horde 1-on-1 with a white regiment, but he had a standard barrel nearby. So I was like, if I do ultimate betrayal, he'll just charge the standard barrel in. So I opted for the regen command instead because yeah, he can just double charge with a standard barrel and then say, hey, undead standard barrel, take the stats. And the white still punches as per normal. So
that is true. I mean, those are definitely good examples of how to get around this. I do think it may have been a matchup thing, but I actually, instead of the hordes of lower abyssals, I actually prefer regiments for this particular command.
Yeah,
mainly
the
because
hordes jam me up. So the regiments is probably where it's at. You force the opponent to at least commit 2 things. If not, you can't kill it, and then you're trading up because the regiment's 100 points, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly what I was thinking is that it's just a gray chaff / screening unit. It's one of your core units as well, so you can unlock to the units that, you know, the specialists and supports that you want to get to. And then it's just they have to double charge it to kill it reliably. There are some units in the games, like you had mentioned, maybe zombie legions or, you know, wretch hordes or things like that. They might have enough attacks to get to a scary point, but on averages, I think that most of these units are only going to be getting to a 6 or a 7 twice if they're single charging you. So double charges, yeah, you kill them, but you have 2 units now right where I wanted them to be placed, and my second line's coming right in, crashing in wherever I need to, you know. And obviously, if you really need to kill one particular thing, using the command for the elite and vicious is an option at that point. But yeah, I do think the spell that they have is exceptionally good. In the you know, the battles where it's like, you know, 1 or 2 wounds or adjustment of nerve by 1 or 2 is a lot of times a game changer, a breaking point, and the Dark Pit does that. I will kind of go off on a slight tangent. I don't like how they did the Dark Pits mechanically, as far as you must place a token and it can't be on a unit, it can't be on terrain, so you have to find a spot to place it. And
maybe in terrain. It may be in terrain.
It may be. Okay. Either way.
Yeah, just not clear of any units.
Okay. So the terrain thing is less of an issue then, but I would rather them have just pick an enemy unit and then have it be 6 inches off the enemy unit, or even 3 inches off the enemy unit at that point, if you know, you're picking a larger base size at that rate. So but, you know, having to place a token down on the board, but then all that token does nothing for terrain, for movement. It's just it just seems a little silly that we're adding a unique mechanic into the game, and it doesn't have any additional benefit outside of just measure from this location. So anyway, just
it opens up to others. I think if you point it to a unit, then you need to explain it further. You know, this is a cloak of death that affects the unit being targeted as well. He takes 1 damage. That affects the enemy unit. Or you put it off your unit.
It as cloak of death. I think you just say target unit takes a wound. All enemy units within target enemy unit takes a wound. All enemy units within 3 or 6 inches of that unit take a wound. All their nerve values are reduced. All are affected by dread. Absolutely. So I think it can be simplified with that. So.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, this is a new design space. They might have new stuff to do with 40mm tokens on the board. I get to model a Dark Pit logo, so there's some modeling wins in that.
For sure.
Whispers of Wickedness. I thought it would be not bad, but I cast it a total of once, and then after that, because my Warlock had other spells to cast, so it didn't cast Whispers of Wickedness anymore. So I'm not sure. One problem with the Abyss is that the spellcaster is very expensive because the Warlock is 135 points. It comes inbuilt with 5 shooting attacks. It is a large infantry, which has its benefits. One is not yielding. Two, it is scoring, but individuals now have unit strength, just that they used to not be able to pick up loot tokens. Now they can, but they cannot move after picking up loot tokens. So the benefit is not as great, but there is a high tax on the Warlock at 135 points before taking a single spell because of that 5 shooting attacks that is not optional. The Ifrit became a spellcaster, but it's 110 points without inspiring. So slap on a inspiring talisman and it's more expensive than the Warlock. And it's yielding. So it's not great. Spells are at a premium for the Abyss.
Right. And I think the Warlock is one of their better hero choices in general. And I know somebody had mentioned earlier, actually, I think it was Gaddafi, that there was a Force of Abyss player that did exceptionally well at Best of the Rest. That's actually one of my locals here from Omaha. His name's Chris Bellows. He's been doing playing an Abyss army that has worked really well for him. And he went 4 wins and 1 loss, and he took, I think, best overall or best general. I think it was best general. So,
when
congrats to
best
him.
General, does that mean somebody placed above him? Just that because that person won best overall, he became the best general.
Yep.
So he was not first in battle.
So he may have had the best or the top battle score, but for the Best of the Rest, the hierarchy is the overall award is more sought after. So the other person could have had a better sports and paint that would have bumped him up. I didn't see the final standings, but I know Chris did exceptionally well.
If somebody know the exact score, please post it in the chat.
So the army, I mean, it has play, even before the changes, but it was just very difficult. So I think that one of his recipes for success, though, was he took a double battalion in order to get multiple warlocks. So he has 3 warlocks in that list.
I think all of them with Bane Chant. And basically, it's 6 lower abyssal regiments, and the rest are pretty much hammers. Hammers of various types. So there is.
He had a couple of.
Trying to load up his list, but 2 abyssal hounds.
Yep.
Which are semi hammers.
He had 1 abyssal cav, and then I believe 2 molochs, as well as 2
and 2 berserkers.
Berserkers. Yep. So, and I think he had 4 regiments of lower abyss, because the hellhounds are actually a core unit, and that is something that I think abyss got overlooked by a lot of people, but me in particular as well. But hellhounds are actually one of the more unique, and I'd argue one of the best core units that are available throughout the whole game. I mean, 24 attacks it's pretty spicy. It's pretty good on a speed 9 unit nonetheless, and they're reasonably cheap. I think they were 175. So Chris had been playing those exceptionally well for a while now. So
I hear you on the Abyssal Hounds, but if I'm not wrong, the Night Stalker Hounds are better. Let's see.
I don't believe the Night Stalker Hounds are a core unit, though. That was the one issue.
They are core Shadow Hounds, but they are 200 points. But
okay, they're 200.
200 points. But 20 attacks, but speed 10.
Yeah,
Speed 10,
but
TC 1, Mind Thirst,
are they
Nimble, Regen 5, Stealthy.
they hit on 4s?
They hit on 4s.
Ah, see, so 24 attacks with Hellhounds that hit on 4s, though. So
Yeah, I do
I'll
like
take
that speed 10
24.
though. So it's
Everybody does. So
debatable, but of course, the lower price is never debatable. It's cheaper.
that is
So
true. And for it being
Hellhounds are
an
cheaper.
Abyssal unit, I think it's one of the only Abyssal units that doesn't have regen. So it's a little funny with that. But I
Yeah.
mean, I'll take cheap units. That's my forte. So
Yeah. So I'm looking at Chris Bellows' list. 3 Warlocks, 2 of them with Bane Chant. You're right. Total of 4 lower abyssals because the 2 Hellhound regiments are core, 2 Berserkers, 1 Horseman with J Boots, and 2 Morlocks. So it's just a bunch of hammers, some of them with regen. So you might just out attrition people in terms of trading hammers because if I count 2 Morlocks, Horsemen, 2 Berserkers, that's 5 hammers. And 2 Hellhounds, pseudo hammers. Most of them have regen, and then he has the Bane Chant to shore up. Especially Berserkers. I mean, we're kind of sad that Berserkers got a big hit from 3rd edition. Their speed got greatly reduced, but their combat power remains the same, which is that 30 attacks on 4+. So that's still 15 hits unhindered, which is pretty good still. So I'm taking a second look at them, but right now I'm trying to play Tortured Souls. I'm gonna try 1 regiment and 1 troop alongside 1 Abyssal Horseman.
what do you
Cav
think
with J
about the
Boots.
change to Torture Souls?
Overall, I don't like it because I wanted the potential to play a Flying Circus, and that is pretty much gone. The pre-changed Tortured Souls were a cheap flying regiment that can hit hard, especially in the flank. I thought that was great. They changed it to like a mutant sort of unit, but hitting on 4, so they're not gonna hit hard, but they are cheap with Strider. What I'm curious to see is whether the Strider is useful because other than them and Cronius, I think the rest have no Strider. So Cronius have very little attacks, right? So I'm looking, and I don't know if it's common in your neck of the woods, but Scorched Earth is pretty common here. So when you only have 1 Horseman with J Boots, guess what? It never gets a Thunderous Tree charge. Never. So I was like, okay, now I have Tortured Souls and Abyssal Horseman. You're gonna scorch the Abyssal Horseman. At least my Tortured Souls still retain their Strider. Let's see how effective that is.
That makes sense. It's not terribly common out this way. I think I've versed 1 person with it at Masters, but it's I think it's you have to have the right army for it to really be impactful. So I could see I could see Scorched Earth actually work fairly well for the side of the Force of Abyss, especially if you're looking to
blunting enemies. Attrition
looking
people.
at doing the command to reduce their effectiveness. You can also utilize it if you have just the hordes of the Abyssal Guards as well. Just keep them, safe from the heavy hitting cav. I think it could be quite good. So,
the thing that I'm trying to make work is the Lord of Lies, because
I love him.
It is a sweet model. Come on, it's on my painting desk, awaiting paint depending on how my next few games perform. It did great in my first game. It combined it killed a white regiment in a combo hindered charge with Morlocks. Both were hindered. It killed it off, and then it was not stopped. The Morlocks were killed, but the Lord of Lies were free to fly off. So it charged because it was still in the forest, it charged hindered into a regiment of whites. The whites punched back. I took it like a champ, and then I killed it in the second blow. That's not hindered because it's a continuous combat. So that Slayer 3, if it's against the Slayer target, he is the strongest dragon in the game because it's 12 attacks, 3+, crush 3, vicious, brutal. And he has regen 5+ and Iron Resolve. So it could take a hit, shake it off, and then if it's left unchecked, it will regen over the next few turns. So it is super expensive at 350 points though. So, and hey, the thing is still being checked by the core play testing group whether how does the NT command aura work with the Strider command. If the unit charges within 6 inches of Lord of Lies, it loses Strider. But if it has already cleared the terrain, is it still hindered? Or, did it have Strider as it passes through the terrain and then it loses Strider when it comes close to Lord of Lies and then it's still not hindered? Or does it get hindered? What if it charge past the Lord of Lies? So it temporarily loses it and then it gains it back. Lots of questions regarding that.
There is. It's unique. It definitely needs some clarification. And hopefully they'll be kind of on top of those things here. I know they brought out an FAQ, late February after the book released at the end of December. So roughly 2 months after the fact, we got FAQs. Personally, I hope that they would come out with it a little bit quicker than that on these turnarounds, just because, we're on a 6-month schedule anyway. For the next book, it doesn't really make sense that we only get effectively 4 months of play with the correct version of the rules. So, Carnifex. I don't know who this is.
Carnifex. Tell us who you are. Speaking of an earlier comment on users of full retreat, let me try to find that command. Let me try to find that command. That comment. There was somebody asking. It did come up. So I had a troop of tortured souls in my last game. It moved up, and then my opponent pushed forward. So I decided to back up my tortured souls, and it backed out of the white regiment's charge range. But I was considering whether to back it up out of a ghoul troops charge range with the full retreat. I decided nah, it'll be fine. So I backed up 3.5. And I was trying to wiggle my warlock into inspiring range, and I couldn't do it. So I gave up. I was like, it'll be fine. It's just a ghoul charge. The troop charged me, and he wrote double 6s and killed the bloody tortured souls. I was like, no.
Oh boy, it happens. Harry Garrett. I know Harry Garrett from the Northeast. So
yeah, there's an anti-synergy with the Lord of Lies. And once again, I think the matchup with Undead was the absolute worst matchup for my list in particular. You know that Dark Pit dealing 1 damage, Cloak of Death? Well, Life Leech takes it all the way. Pum, 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 pum. And I had some shooting, right? I have some shooting from 2 Flame Bearer regiments. Doesn't matter at all because they're all fearless. They punch me. Hey, Life Leech N+2. Heal it all up. So it's like, no. And then Cloak of Death. Doesn't matter. Punch you, Life Leech it back. So it's like, oh my goodness. And guess what? The icing on the cake. You know the Undead has that order to lose Shambling.
Yep.
So it makes a white lose Shambling, moves its full 14 inches with a pivot, comes within 6 inches of Lord of Lies. Hey, guess what? It's Shambling again.
Oh. You're right.
And then
All
you
right.
can search.
We're playing
So
rock,
because
paper,
of that,
scissors now.
my Lord of Lies stood way back. I was like, I'm not giving you
Jeez.
that.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. Sorry it happened to you, Paige, but goddamn, I want to see that for sure. Because I've been thinking like I think it's pretty clear Force of Nature and Force of the Abyss are the two winners out of this book. Just in
Yeah.
my mind, the best ones, the best commands, some of the best spells as well. And I think that Forces of the Abyss actually is a direct counter to Force of Nature, because a lot of what nature wants to do is utilize their great commands to get an advantage early and push that advantage, whether it's through the stampede, through some rampage, through strider usage, things like that. And the Lord of Lies is just the answer that says, nope, we're not going to let you do any of that. And then you have a lot of counterplay to them. So then hearing now that your experience against the undead matchup, it's like, oh, okay, so Force of the Abyss isn't the end all be all. They have some real hard counters as well. So that it's just comical to see some of these.
Yeah, zombies overcoming ultimate betrayal, fearless and life leech overcoming my shooting and cloak of death. And guess what? The Law of Lies aura is the buff for them. But do remember, the Law of Lies is just one model with a 6-inch aura. And as you can think when you're list building and you think that this model with the aura is going to affect your whole army, guess what? It's not. It's just going to be one area of the board. Same for Law of Lies. If it's down there negating the opponent's orders, there's a good chance it's not in a prime position to fight, or maybe he's even on the second row not fighting. He's a dragon, so he is trying to get flanks as well. He's trying to fly on the side of the board. He's trying to charge the thing that's behind, and then you no longer have that aura support for your the rest of your army. So it's not as powerful as you might think of it on paper.
That's fair.
Yeah. And once again, the Whispers of Wickedness, I don't know how effective it's going to be. Imagine you roll 3 dice just to get it off and just to deny a command on that unit. Hey, guess what? He can just do a command on another unit, or he could just attempt anyway. He might still succeed, and then all that rolls was for naught.
Yeah. I think it's thematic, and I think you might see more of it if the Lord of Lies wasn't an available option, to just be like, there is no rolling. It just doesn't work. So,
yeah, it needs to. Once again, spells are premium on Abyss because of the spellcaster options. And even multi-busu, was it multi-busu, or who gets to take? Yeah, with Whispers of Wickedness. But he is a 240-point warlord.
Yeah. And at that point, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, well, why don't you just spend 100 more points and get a dragon that can just guarantee stop commands when needed? So,
yeah. There's some comments on
an Abyss off.
Well, do you think Goblin, Basileia is not strong in this book?
I think they're just fine. I have an issue with Basileia as a whole, where it felt like they got a lot of stuff taken away at the turn of 4th edition. And I think my favorite things that I see coming out of this book were the things that they just gave them back from 4th edition. Like Naeus is here and he has the ability to give out 2 commands. That's cool. That's
so
awesome.
Juicy.
Like, love
That's
that.
2 warlord value.
Right. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, why wasn't he just in the book at the beginning of the edition? And then you have like the Horde of Paladin Monster Slayers and the Horde of Knights. And it's like, okay, well, these were things that this army had before the edition change, and now they're just getting them back. So unlike the other changes to a lot of the other armies, like we didn't have a horde of Abyssal Guard before. We didn't have, Grim Brox. We didn't have the Great Totem. Like a lot of these changes from Nature and Abyss, I think are new, are fresh, are something that we haven't seen before. Basilia just felt like, let's just bring back everything that we took away in the first place, and that'll be good enough. And in a lot of cases, like, yeah, it is good. Like, I'm not appreciate it, but
these were things from Brother Mark actually. I think
a lot of them.
Basilia never had a horde option for the Paladins.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Brother Mark because Tyler Schultz is part of my region, and he played Brother Mark army with like 3 hordes of the Paladin monster slayers, and so it's just one of those where the army is a combination of the two, and they lost units at the turn of 4th edition, whereas now they're just coming back with some of them. So
don't get me started on my Order of the Green Lady, which models is on the shelf right there, because they're not going to see play anymore. Oh my goodness.
I don't know what you're talking about, Paige. That army was never alive. That it never existed. It was just an illusion.
It was just a dream. But local buddy say, hey, why not you try to build Green Lady in Kingdoms of Men? I was like, maybe, but
it works all right in some ways.
Focus on Abyss right now.
I know Marcelo had some success with his, carryover Green Lady as Kingdoms of Men at Masters. So
yeah, what
it's something.
How much was he placed? Masters, guys, you got to put the factions next to the placings of the players.
I believe they did update the documents to have the factions.
Oh my goodness, let's take a look. Cow pitch. There are 2 documents. Is it best of the rest?
Yeah, so the document here, I see Marcelo finished 11th with his Kingdoms of Men. 11th overall, that is.
And do you have the link to the lists?
Yeah, I'll send
it over.
Here.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Oh, he disconnected. Ballard disconnect. Hey,
I hit the wrong button, but I'm sending you the.
You were giving me nightmares of your last stream there with
me. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. All right, matchups. Okay, and lists. I can get the lists for you as well while I'm at it. There we go. So,
where? Oh, private chat. There we go.
Yep. So, final standings, which has all the factions in it now, and then the lists are the second link there. Marcelo was a part of the Mid-Atlantic region, so he'll be in that folder.
All right. Yeah, let's go take a look at Marcelo's list, and then we will slide into the rest of Masters.
So he ran into me. Sean Vilmont pointed out that he green raged Marcelo with his orcs. So.
Smashed it up.
That's right.
Slides and no, I should share screen. Share screen. Chrome tab, Chrome window. There we go. Am I? Oh, I have to add it to the stage. There we go.
There it is.
So Marcelo. So we'll -1 off the roll number to their position. So she's 11 overall. Where is he? Mid-Atlantic?
Yep.
Four shield walls, 4 beast calf, 1 knight, 3 light calf. And beast calf, beast knights, even without flying, are pretty good.
Yeah, he gave all of
That's
his
skills.
to fly, which, yeah. Yeah, that
Which
base
is fine too.
profile is really, really good. 20 attacks, crush 2 base is pretty disgusting.
Yeah, but the commands are really not very inspiring.
That's not true. One of their commands gives inspiring and headstrong.
Hey, guess what? It worked against my goblins at Clash of Kings Asia.
I mean,
Shoot the unit.
I actually
waver, headstrong, roll the headstrong, charge, kills the rebels. Like, oh, okay.
Yep. It's the same that elves have, and I've found that it's quite useful. It was one that I didn't rate very highly until after I had been using it, and
until you take some shots and get wavered, right? But should it be 3+?
Yeah.
Should headstrong be back at 3+?
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I think there's a lot of other things that I would rather see change before that I even consider that as part of the whole process. So.
Okay. Is the best of the rest in this sheet, or it's on another sheet? It's on another
I think it's a different sheet.
Yeah. Let's just look at the Masters result. So, Ratkin, Goblins, Travis being bridesmaid again. Never the bride. So, what happened there? Do you know what happened?
Travis on day 2, he played against Sam Kula game 4, who ended up being 3rd place and tied Travis as well. Sam was playing Force of Nature, so but it sounded like the shooting just didn't do quite enough in the right times, and Travis wasn't able to pick up enough with the shooting, so ended in a draw. I think that was a control scenario, so I think it was actually quite a good scenario for Sam and the Force of Nature because you're not forced to do a whole lot early in that game, so you can just hide and avoid getting shot with your valuable units early on. And then at the end of the game, you try to, fight a little bit and just defend the control zones that you're sitting in. So, I think that that ended up being kind of how the game played out, from my understanding. So,
yeah, yeah, pre-fracture Forces of Nature because of that heal command. And most likely it's packing heal in the list, it can really shrug off a lot of damage over the course of the game. And with shooting now only wavering at best, unless it's devastated. Even when they're wavered, okay, wavered, stand back, start healing. And then it will take you multiple rounds just to kill even the simplest of units sometimes. I played against the Forces of Nature with exactly that and Veil of Shadows with Horn. So, firstly, my catapults were doing nothing.
Yep.
And then, so I shot and wavered I shot and wavered a unit of tribal warriors. The same unit twice throughout the game, but then it healed and healed and healed, and then that's all my shooting did in that game. It was like terrible. So, I do have, because I do play goblins for competitively for 3 years. I do think our goblins is in a unique position that it's such a different army and playstyle from everything else in the game, trash and shooting, that definitely it has good matchups for sure. But I think there are certain combinations of scenarios or opponents, army/list that it will struggle against. And because of that, because there is some bad matchups, it's not well rounded enough to take home first place. At least that's my theory until I'm proven wrong with Travis taking back first place at some point.
Maybe we'll see. He said he's putting the goblins up. The army he has is just disgusting. If you haven't seen it, go look at it. But it's
is it the max spam?
28 drops, 42 unit strength, 4 rock lobbers, 3 war trombones. He's got 4 wizards, 3 army standard bearers. It's just disgustingly efficient in every way possible. And like I was talking to Trav, and we kind of did the math. So the mop-up command that we had been talking about earlier, generously over the course of the game, he gets that command off at least 20 times. So 20 that command going off 20 times over the course of the game gives him an extra 120 attacks that always hit on 4s. So on average, it's an extra 60 hits. And against defense 5, that's an extra 30 wounds to defense 5 units just because he has that command. It's just disgustingly efficient in melee and especially with shooting. And then because everything scores now for goblins, you don't even have the issue of trying to keep some rabble alive to win the objective at the end of the game. You know, if you're not playing loot tokens, which I guess now with the Fractured update, you can even hold loot tokens with your characters. They just won't move, which is even better for them. But like for this weekend, if it wasn't a loot token scenario, then the mounted whiz, the mounted flagger,
unit strength,
they're just gonna run wherever they need to be at the end of the game and score objectives. So it's
I do find that pre-fracture our goblins were weaker in loot scenarios because of the 5 or 6 individuals you have being useless in the scenario. Right. Because in the unit strength scenario, it's that 5 or 6 extra unit strength of the characters that can go anywhere that really helps win the game.
Yes.
I mean, war engines is another thing, right? If you have catapult or ballistas, they're not going to be picking up loot tokens, but they can score in control or whatnot. Even trombones, I mean, they can technically pick up a loot token, but the chance...
We played push.
Not that common. It does happen, but it's not as common.
We played push in our first game, and Trav and I discussed, all right, well, you could easily just put 3 loot tokens all on the 3 war trombones and keep walking because it doesn't slow them down. They're gonna just keep firing, and by the end of the game, they should be across the line. So that's not a big deal at all. What do you think about the changes to the Goblin command?
Oh man, I can't remember what it does. What's the new one?
So they got rid of the Leaper special rule, which I thought was actually quite useful for like Fleabag units to look over a hill. And now they have the green wave. So infantry, large infantry units only. The unit receives a movement order. It gains nimble or Pathfinder special rule.
But at 5+, why is it 5+? My goodness.
I don't know why. It's not like it's Strider.
It is useful for, especially for one situation or 2 situations. All right, so you deploy your rebel somewhere where there's going to be forest, but you need to move them up. So just give them Pathfinder. They're going to move 10 instead of 5, so that it can keep up with the rest of the lines. Because a lot of times the rest of the board moves 10, but the guys that's around the forest gets to move 5, and then your line becomes staggered. Another great use for it is when your trombones want to be where the forest is. So what I used to do is, if the opponent has 0 shooting, my trombones will be on the 12-inch line, and then the rebel will be behind it. Because the trombones can't move more than 5, because war engines can't move at the double. So the trombones will move 5, and the rebel will move 10 to leapfrog over the trombones. That will give me more inches on the first turn. But I cannot do that when there's a forest, because the rebel cannot move 10. So when there's a forest, especially in the middle where my trombones want to be, my rebel will have to be in front, and the trombones will have to be at the back. So I think the leaper thing is situationally brilliant, but I've never used it once. While this is probably going to see more play, but it will be funny if I deployed it that way and then I failed the command because it's a 5+.
Well, you just need 10 characters sitting next to them.
I have 5 to 6 characters, and then you probably need to do it on 2 rebels, because you usually have maybe 3 war trombones, and the Alchemist Curse Caster is behind that as well. It's along that battle line as well. So you probably have 5 or 6 chances to get 2 success. But if it fails, you'll be hilarious because you're gonna be stuck there.
Yeah, for a turn anyway. So no,
if you move 5 inches and you're still in the forest.
Right. I agree that with that situation. I think there are 2 different thoughts when it comes to goblins, and it's either rabble or it's the flea bags. And I think that those that were taking flea bags really want to see the previous command for leaper, and those that are relying on the rabble regiments, they're happy with what the change is here. So
yeah, I mean, even with the leaper, it's I did have 2 fleabag riders, but even with the leaper command, I don't see that I need to use it that often. Number 1, because they are speed 10, so they outtrack everything else. So there are situations, sure, you want to hide behind the hill, you want to threaten aggressively but not get charged. But there are also situations where you just need to stay about 18 inches from the enemy and he can't charge you anyway. If you need to see around the hill, now you draw line of sight from your whole front facing. You can always just peek out a little bit off to the side of the hill. So situationally, it could be brilliant, but it does not see that brilliance pay off as much as I had hoped it would a lot of times. And it also depends on where's the hill, right? So if the hill is not in an advantageous position, you can't do that strategy. So I would see this Pathfinder thing seeing more play, more use generally. But that 5+ is a risk. It's like, what if I don't get it off? My lines get stuck. Yeah. So coming back to Masters, let's talk about your time at Masters. So you have been a bit down in the rut about 4th edition. You started playing a little bit. When was that you started playing in one of the tournaments?
I played at Lone Wolf in April.
Yeah, that was where you had a little bit of your mojo back, willing to give it a try.
I struggled finding a list, an army, a play style that actually excited me, and I kind of landed on the idea or the fact that combined arms seemed to be pretty dead in the grand scheme of things. It really felt like it was all or nothing when it came to shooting. So you had a gun line or you had orcs, right? So and seeing, the meta really kind of shift towards orcs and ratkin, I was really drawn to the idea, the play style of elves, and so I ended up making the elf list that I eventually took to Masters here. Did well with it down at Lone Wolf, and just kind of kept going with it. I was really surprised to see for Masters this year that elves were the second highest faction that was taken, right
was quite a
behind
surprise.
Forces of Nature. So there was 8 Forces of Nature players and 7 elf players at Masters. So it was a little surprising, and quite honestly, I was a little bit disappointed. I was like, I kind of wanted to be one of the
hipster, right?
one of the hipsters, right? One of the few, right? So I always know I can rely on Keith Randall to bring his elves, and I always expect maybe 1 or 2 other people to bring elves, but 7 people coming out of the woodwork playing elves was not on my bingo card. So and then leading up to Masters, I was actually really I didn't play like hardly at all. I think I played 1 practice game before Masters with this, but I was really actually much more interested in my Night Stalkers again, kind of before Masters hit, the couple weeks leading up to it. So so I wasn't completely, wholeheartedly in on this army, this list for Masters going into it, but I feel like I did just fine, did pretty well. But one of the things that this army does is that my Night Stalkers have kind of built-in safety measures where I had 17 units with the Night Stalkers before, and everything was really cheap and not necessary for game plans to really work out. So it was a very flexible list in that matter. Whereas elves are a very fragile list where if everything goes according to the plan perfectly, you will win, and you'll likely win big. But how often in Kings of War does everything go to the perfect plan perfectly? The dice always say no to something at some point along the way, right? Or your opponent rolls exceptionally well on something too, right? So there's always unforeseen things that you need to adjust for. And elves have some wiggle room for the adjustment, but they're just extremely fragile. So I experienced that quite a bit this weekend. Some unfortunate bad dice situations, some, below average shooting sometimes. And realistically, it all came down to when 1 or maybe 2 things didn't quite go my way. The game shifted from, a winning position to a drawing position, or a drawing position to a losing position. So in the end, I ended up with a record of 2 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws with the elves.
3 draws, my goodness.
Yep. So it was an adventure for sure. So and by the end of the event, I realized I didn't actually like the play style I was playing with elves. The combined arms is fine, but the way in which the shooting needs to be implemented is just so tedious and boring to me. I hate just putting a unit on the battle line and saying, okay, your job is to stand here, shoot in this lane for the entirety of the game, and that's it. While the other units and the things that I love is the movement and positioning when it comes to the Dracons and utilizing my Battle Cat command for the Palace Guard and trying to get those in the right positions. Like all of that is great. The shooting battery and saying like being forced effectively into the position where in order to shoot effectively, you can't move is just so tedious and boring of a game plan strategy, and I will just not be doing it anymore. I refuse. So I'm I'm kind of against the having to take elven archers and glade stalkers and just sit in one position for the game to shoot effectively. I desperately want to relive the glorious days of the Silver Breeze flying around the battlefield, just shooting arrows from behind their back at people. Bring back the Mongolian archer hordes for me, please. So,
Hey, I have a theory for improvement to shooting, which is to bring back steady aim. And you could easily implement it in 4th edition. You just say steady aim units always have the aiming bonus. So the 5+ units will always shoot on 4+. That's it. And you will not go down to ridiculous 3+ values. Just bring back the rule and say steady, this unit always have these aiming bonus. Done. Your Glade
Beautiful.
Stalkers.
And then reduce the Silver Breeze Cav by about 20 points, and I think we're right in line with where it should be. So I'll want, I expect it in the next book. Just write it up.
Well, whisper that into the ears of your friendly CPG person, CPG representative.
There we go.
So,
I hope they're listening.
yeah, hopefully elves will get updated in the next book. I think Ronnie's let it slip that elves are in arrogance. Can we get a confirmation out there that Ronnie leaked it out?
I believe Ronnie did say that, but I've also been hearing rumors that it may have been a little premature, so we'll see where it lands in the end. That's kind of where, alongside the rumor of there will be either 2 or 3 armies in the next book, we'll see. So,
yeah, I mean, 4 times 6 is 24, and we only have 20 factions so far. Yep. I am going to believe that there will be new factions appearing by the end of the 6th book. That is my hunch. 1 or 2 is my hunch. And I am crossing my fingers. It's the Green Lady. Although the Green Lady.
They killed that. They would never bring it back, Paige.
What are you talking about? They killed her and they brought it back.
They never killed her. It was always force of nature. It was just an illusion.
Oh my goodness. It could be I mean, if it's too difficult, although the Green Lady could always be a 3D printed army. So if you're always worried about, hey, if we're gonna make another human army, physical models is gonna be competing with all the other human rangers out there, then make it a 3D army, and then you will not have that problem. And I think that nature knight kind of theme is going to be very popular, and it's not done to death out there yet. So I think there's a market for that. So that's all that I'm saying. So let's talk about the bestseller. I think all the 4 factions here are winners, just some more than others. I think even ogres are all right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about ogres first. Let's talk about ogres first.
Well,
unit strength. Goblins kind of get there's a command for unit strength, protect our stash, which sort of shows up their unit strength issue. The access to red goblin regiments and hordes also shows up that issue. They are more expensive at 165 a horde for having the combination of phalanx and short bows that hit on 6s. Their attacks also got reduced to 20 instead of being 30 on a sharpstick horde. So I guess it's a tax. But hey, they still get access to goblin hordes that unlock. And goblin explosives, Green Rage, the old Green Rage, on sort of the old Green Rage on a range attack, which is a 6 blood dealing 2 damage. Sounds great on boomers and shooters.
Yeah, but if you're taking shooters, you have other problems. So I think it sounds great on boomers.
Yeah, make boomers great again. Yeah, sounds awesome on boomers.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of
With
those
vicious.
things that they kind of wanted you to play it on the goblins, but those goblins are so expensive for being a jack of all trades and really don't do much of anything. Um, I'm not a fan of that goblin unit at all.
I think people will be taking it just for the nerf and the unit strength. Maybe a horde just to anchor the center. It can shoot the shitty shots while it's not doing anything.
Maybe I don't know. I just don't see it. I think ogre warriors are too valuable and too price efficient to be taking that unit. Is what
Oh,
I'm thinking is gonna
185. Yeah,
happen.
20 more points. You get the ogre
Yeah,
warrior
right.
regiment.
Yep. And
You
honestly,
get
like
vicious
you
on the
said,
charge. That's great, right?
the command is where you can get your unit strength made up. So I don't think the amount of unit strength is necessarily as impactful as just having the right units. So
What about marching orders? You get to move at a double with one pivot. One extra pivot. So double pivot with a 12-inch move.
I think it's quite useful, quite good. It allows for, and it's on a 4-up. It's actually one of the better 4-up commands. I think that we're going to be seeing ogre units able to effectively just redeploy themselves with this order. Yeah, it's gonna be impactful, and I think that good players are going to find kind of cheeky maneuvers with it. So I'll be interested to see how that turns out.
I am reading it off the book, so I can't show it on screen. I could have done it on a companion. That would be the smart thing to do. Oh, I haven't unshared that thing on the screen. That's a problem. All right. So I'm still new to this, guys.
Sea Biscuit, that's Mr. Andy Patton.
Any pattern? Yeah.
Yep, did exceptionally well with his salamanders this last weekend. I think its only
Did it have
loss was
4 Commodons?
Of course, it had 4 Commodons.
what did he place? Let me see.
I think he was top
Andy, 6th place, best salamanders.
Yes, sir. I think his only loss was to Travis Tim, and it was a very close game. I saw the very end of it.
What's Keith Randall's elves look like?
Copy paste my elves with a couple of tweaks. He said so himself. So he is southeast.
Critters. 3 Gladestalker troops.
Yep, he dropped.
Is yours troops? Yours are troops too. Right.
Yes, yeah, I think troops are the way to go with that unit. So he dropped the army standard bearer, and I
one inspiring sauce.
Yeah, one inspiring.
With the command, right?
Yep. Elves don't need to be inspired. It's fine. But yeah, I think he dropped the Troop of Palace Guard and the character to get another troop of Gladestalkers and a regiment of Dracons instead of a troop. So
right.
Yeah, it sounded like it worked out exceptionally well for him. So again, I think he played Travis and lost. Andy Patton's from the Southeast as well.
Oh, okay. Two ceremonial guard hordes. Kekuta warriors for net unlocks for the 2 Commodons. Blizzard 4. Blizzard didn't get nerfed, which was quite a surprise.
Yeah, you're right.
I thought it was apparent early on that it is too good.
Blizzard and Alchemist Curse are exceptionally disgusting. I think Blood Boil is actually right there too, with the right armies, right setups.
Yeah, at least
Basically
Blood
any
Boy is quite situational.
yeah.
Alchemist Curse is great all around. Blizzard is even more egregious because you're just shooting from turn 1 onwards.
Yeah.
And the
I
freeze
had
is the icing on the cake.
I had several games where my Alchemist Curse Mage was shooting on the bottom of turn 1 as well, so
On that
being
mouse.
mounted on a horse, having an effective 21-inch range is quite potent.
But were you shooting at things that can't charge you back?
I was shooting at things and positioning my units to where I wasn't able to be charged with, at least to the mage. So units like critters or unit like my Palace Guard troops, they were my screeners between impassable terrain or just shooting over top of them. So
Yeah, so it's shooting in the windows of the units.
yep, exactly.
Which reminds me, the Goblin Trombones being yielding is bad and also good at the same time because they don't block line of sight. I have had my trombones and wizards line up in a straight line, just firing out of the same window, and they don't block each other's line of sight.
Yep. And another thing that Travis did quite effectively is that he would have a line of rabble in front of the trombones, and then he would have a secondary line that was behind the trombones. And depending on the situation, if he needed to, he could charge through his own war trombones with the rabble that are sitting behind to protect them effectively. It's like, yeah,
my one unit of luggage played that role. They're always sitting behind the trombones.
Yeah. But anyway, ogres. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just been looking at lists now. This is the best placing nature list, and critters are damn awesome.
I'd just argue it's the best nature list. Like before the changes here, this list I think is the list. If I was to play nature, I think Sam's really found a winning recipe. Personal preference for me, I actually really like earth elementals and troops versus regiment sizes. But that's just, player preference. I think both are quite effective. I think you need that defense 6, a movable type unit as a utility piece in the army. So,
and elementals are there.
Yeah, speaking of stuff that didn't get nerfed that feels like it should have, what the hell are air elementals?
What's with that 24 attacks on trees? My goodness.
Yeah.
Jeff Shulkin,
and you give them access to wind blasts.
Surprising C tier Northern Alliance made it quite high up there.
Yeah, turns out, free upgrades for javelins is actually a pretty good thing for the army. So
right, it didn't get nerfed alongside the River Guard.
Yep,
not in Fracture 2. A buddy of mine was talking about Pack Hunters, like building a Northern Alliance list. As like, following the River Guard nerf, they may or may not be nerfed in Fracture. So I'll just wait and see. And turns out they didn't get nerfed in Fracture.
Yeah, apparently they went under the radar. I don't know how.
Hold on to Earth. Let's see. So mainly a shooting list.
A lot of shooting options. I would say it's very much a combined arms list because those human tribesmen hordes are great axe hordes effectively. They hit on 3s with Crush 2 there with their 25 attacks. So he's got a big, beefy, combat units. He just uses the pack hunters to apply pressure and force the opponent to engage. He has good, flanking type units from Lord on Frostfangs, Frostfang Lord, or Frostfang Cav, as well as the Frostclaw Riders. It's just a well-rounded, solid list. So,
I would have never had thought to drop the Tribesman to defense 4, but it does make sense with the Pack Hunters applying pressure.
it's an
And guess
army
what?
that he doesn't want to see, like elf style shooting, right? Because it's a lot of low defense, and if you're getting outranged, it's really difficult. But it plays scenario well. It has a lot of good utility. So
Guess what? Blizzard can get elite on the Ice Queen
yep, sure can.
if the opponent is frozen. So the Ice King
Look.
Hunters apply the frozen.
Yep, it is.
We could
And
use
playing
the
an elf mage with Blizzard, who just naturally gets it at an elite, I can confirm it's quite good.
wow. Yeah. You can apply it with the boat thrower also, the ice boat thrower. It's cheaper, but it's a support slot. All right, let's. I think we talked about ogres earlier. That they have a spell, Step Storm, reroll 6s to hit. So, which is pretty good, ain't it? If you combine Scorched Earth and Step Storm, you are essentially giving them -2 to hit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just think that's a lot to apply just for into one unit, because one of the issues that ogres run into is similar to Force of the Abyss, where their spellcasters who would be taking this aren't necessarily very cheap. So ogre warlocks, I would argue, are actually not really the units you want to be taking in this army. Yeah, so in this spell being a 25-point spell, only 18-inch range, I just think it's too situational to really rely on. As far as a competitive option, I think that there are better uses of your points and time, and yeah, it's just one of those things where it's a fun spell, it's a good spell. I mean, it's almost honestly a copy paste from a particular Warhammer spell I remember, but I don't think that's a bad thing. So yeah, I just don't see ogre players really using this. So
well, I'm looking at the dock upgrade on ogres.
yes, now that
+2 nerf, so juicy.
Turns out that is quite good. Yes.
And do they have rally in the list? Because that stacks.
I don't think they do.
Paymaster. Where is the Paymaster? Oh no, this is the old ogres. Paymaster. +2 nerf. Oof. That is very good. Do they have rally from something? That's a big deal. Give rally.
I think there's only a rally for goblins in the army. So
Matriarch rallying.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the Warlord is the better hitter, but the Matriarch has the buff to rallying.
That is true. So you got a wall of 18 nerve. You get one of them up to a 20.
20.
Yeah, pretty good.
You have options for warrior hordes as well. I think you have to take something to access it.
Yeah, I think it's the warlord. So a 90-point upgrade.
Interesting thing was used to be double the attacks, 36, but now it's only at 30. But of course, the cost is somewhat tempered.
Yeah, and the Warlord, just kind of looking at him, he's just kind of mediocre as a unit as well.
Yeah, the text is the Warlord in it, but the
I don't
unit...
I don't understand why, but all the ogre characters went up in points between 5 and 10 points, and none of the other factions had that like universal change. There were a couple of them that got adjusted individually, but it just seemed like they just forced all of these characters up an additional 5 to 10 points, and there really wasn't a reason for it.
Yeah, at least it has 7 attacks. So well, the list looks juicy. You can have a unit up to nerf 20. You can get a horde itself is pretty good because it's 275 points for a nerf of 25. 30 attacks, which is more than your Palace Guard, hitting on trees. Defense 5.
Yeah,
comparable to a Palace Guard horde, ain't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's bad at all. I like
just
the
the Warlord
idea of
text.
bringing back hordes or former legions. I think that the Paymaster's great. One thing that I desperately wish they would have changed is the lack of inspiring on Arakamura. I feel like for a character that's 190 points, please just give us inspiring on our characters. They're already expensive. Why don't we have inspiring on everybody? Yeah, it just feels bad. And then the character that I don't think anybody saw coming, the Big Deal, is now a Warlord. But I don't see what the big deal is about the Big Deal. Do you like this guy?
No, because I mean, people used to take it because of the Brutal +1, but it doesn't have it anymore. It has Brutal 2 itself. It's just a combat character.
Yeah, and it's more expensive than a dragon. And sorry, you're hitting on 4s with 15 attacks. We've seen the salamander dragon do that for years. So, I mean, Strider's all right, but yeah, as far as a a better
needs
version
to give an
of
army
a mammoth,
buff.
exactly. Yeah, I
needs
agree.
to give
It
an
needs to
army
do
buff.
that. But yeah, as far as, and also as just comparing it to the mammoth, just the normal support mammoth, it's like, why is this so much more expensive? Is it just because it can actually issue commands? Doesn't feel like 70 points of value here. It has a couple more attacks. It has a couple more nerve. Like, I get this, but it just does not feel good to look at this list and say, and take a unit. Some people will be taking him because they have a cool model. They like, the Big Deal for, nostalgia reasons. But just arguably, it's just not a good Warlord. It doesn't actually do anything for your army.
Yeah, definitely needs a tweak. I would argue make him able to issue 2 commands, then it'll be a big deal.
That would be a big deal.
Yeah,
I'm also not a fan of introducing a new base size just for this unit.
This model.
And they don't, at least as far as I'm aware, they haven't released a model that's just for this base size, have they?
I think it's in the works. It's probably why they did it.
Okay. Well,
I'm gonna guess the tusks are gonna come out sideways. It's gonna take up a lot of space laterally. That's why they have to introduce this. It is infantry regiment based on its side.
Yeah. Well, it's just, unfortunate that the timing couldn't line up as such to, justify some of these changes, because I think if you did well and you released the model with the base change, with the army book as it updates, that goes over a lot more smoothly. Um, people aren't happy because it's a completely new base change. We already had a bunch of base changes from the adjustment to fourth edition for a lot of units. And I know that's one of the big complaints too from the Force of Nature players right now as well, where it's like, just feels like a lot of these changes should have been done at the change of the edition and not saved for these army books. And I think it does have a lot of players that, have their armies expected to be coming up here soon. Um, you don't know what the changes are, and they're setting a precedent where your bases, your units, your models can easily change at any point here. So,
This picture is cool. Nice.
Hey, bud.
I just wish you didn't have that smiling lion.
Yes. So I think there's just a lot of concern still. There's not a lot of confidence instilled with the books that has been released here. Players don't like base size changes. They don't like we don't really like nerfs to some of these units, and then as soon as nerfs start flying, I'm guilty. We both have mentioned, there's a couple things we point out. We're like, why didn't this get touched, right? Why didn't the air elementals get changed? Why didn't the blizzard get changed? Like once we start lowering the top end of the curve down, we still see some of those things above the bar where a lot of people will point out what's out of line here. So I think that it can just be done more cleanly, and right now we're still kind of in the figuring it out phase. So
yeah, I'm of the camp still that Fracture did more than I have expected. So that is still a net positive for me. I can understand if people are not impressed or wished Fracture had more. We're only 6 months into the new edition, or 7 or 8 months. We're about half a year into the new edition. So definitely there's still time needed to iron things out. I can understand why some people wish for it to be urgently fixed. I was on the receiving end of Commodons recently. I was like, oh my goodness, what's this?
yeah.
And it was only 3. I was like, oh my, everything has died.
Yeah. That is definitely an egregious one as well. So
it's indirect, right? So it ignores cover.
Yep.
So nothing you can do. 4+.
Yep.
4+, blast D 3+1, 3 attacks each, 3 attacks a piece. It's like so many hits.
It's a lot. I think that the book at the end of the year needs to do quite a bit. It sounds like they're hard at work at it already, from my understanding. I hope that they're able to it's a lot. They got to get a lot done, and I think the biggest thing is going to be consistency. So once certain things are changed, it needs to be applied consistently across all armies, and all units of similar types. So things like the javelins, when it comes to River Guard. Well, obviously there's other units like the Pack Hunters that have javelins, and we're seeing some changes when it pops up, and it feels like we're addressing one issue at a time versus doing sweeping changes that kind of need to be applied across the board. So I hope that they can identify some of these larger issues and apply a much larger solution to them. So we'll see if the book at the end of the year can accomplish that.
Yeah. Once again, I petition to have steady aim brought back, because right now shooting
I'll
is
sign that petition.
is at an extreme, right? Because it's either you bring a lot or none at all. Because at most you're gonna waver if you don't pass that nerf point, and then if you're fighting fearless units, it's totally pointless. So you have to bring enough shooting that could devastate a unit.
And the only type of shooting we're seeing are units that are intended to stand still and shoot, or ones that just are hitting on 4s already, right? So the units like the fast movers, Silver Breeze, all the other cav archers, even characters that have like speed, the flying, the scorch wings and stuff like that. They're just too expensive for really bad shooting, really crappy bow shots, because they're never going to stand still. They shouldn't be standing still. That's not what they do. So, I think it was just
can't be that the only effective form of shooting is standing still to shoot, and then that makes the game stale as well. So,
yes, so.
You have experienced that in Masters. It's really boring.
It's not enjoyable to play. I mean, I played it, and after day one, I was just like, man, I'm deploying these units the same way, and I'm just sitting there, and I look at the board, and it's like, cool, 4 turns of not moving, and then turn 5 and 6, maybe I'll start considering an objective, right? Like, it's just not fun. Like, nobody likes getting shot that way. Nobody likes to. I mean, I would hope nobody likes shooting that way, but it's fine a little bit, but it can't be the expected most competitive way to implement that, right? So.
Yeah, and spells, being able to shoot on 3+, standing still. It's all right if you temper the values, right? Blizzard should be at 3 at the most. Alchemist Curse maybe going down in values.
I can tell you right now, 5 out of my 6 games at Masters, my Blizzard Wizard did not move the entire game. Because why would they?
Only when they have no targets to shoot at, then they have to move.
Yeah.
Or grabbing an objective at the end of the game.
Yep, you're right. But I mean, even when I played Invade, it was like turn 5, and it's like, okay, well, if I move my wizard, then I can run him on turn 6, and I can get across the board and score 1 extra point. And I'm sitting there, and I look, and I'm like, yeah, but if I kill that unit over there that's worth 2 unit strength, that's just better. So I'm going to stand here and shoot. So
how did that work out for you?
Just fine. That Blizzard Wizard did great until it didn't do great. So I had a couple of instances of it was mostly I need to apply Frozen to a unit to prevent them from charging me. And I had 2 crucial ones in the over the course of the event that I did not get a hit or a wound. So I did not apply Frozen to a unit, and then I get charged and murdered. So it was unfortunate, to say the least.
Yep. That always happens. Oh well, with that, I think it's time to close out the show. So we'll see if we can do this on a regular basis. Maybe get some guests on the show as well, so that it's more than just the 2 of us talking, more than just 2 talking heads. So guys, if you'd like to be on the show, do shoot me a message. I'm Paige New on Facebook. I mainly check Facebook. Just drop me a Facebook message. You should be able to find me easily. And Adam, I think you are quite well known in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. So if you're trying to get a hold of Paige and can't, you can message me. Sure. I'll tell
Yep.
him, hey, this guy.
All right. With that, thank you very much, Adam, for doing this experiment with me where we talk live, and we'll hope that we can get this going. And see you guys. 2 great hits.
They always said 2 is better than 1.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.